Princess Luna stood on the bridge of her warship watching the small human vessel drift through space. Her silver eyes glowed with curiosity as she studied the strange craft that had wandered into their territory. The humans were new to this part of the galaxy, and Luna had heard many stories about their unusual nature. Luna was not like other aliens. She belonged to a race called the Valdorians who could shift between two forms. In her normal state, she appeared as a tall, graceful woman with pale blue skin and pointed ears. But when the twin moons of her homeworld rose, she would transform into something more wild and dangerous. Her people called it the moon change, and it made them stronger, faster, and more deadly. The human ship had been damaged in a meteor storm and was sending distress signals. Luna could have simply destroyed it or left it to drift in the void. Instead, something about these creatures fascinated her. She had read reports that humans were different from other species. They seemed to possess an inner fire that made them unpredictable in both war and peace. "Bring the human ship aboard," Luna commanded her crew. "Use the tractor beam and place it in Cargo Bay 7. I want the occupant brought to the science lab alive and unharmed." Her second-in-command, Captain Vera, raised an eyebrow. "Princess, the Council has not approved contact with humans yet. They consider them potentially dangerous." Luna smiled, showing teeth that were slightly too sharp. "That is exactly why I want to study one up close. Prepare the containment field and have Dr. Maya ready her equipment. I want to know what makes these humans so special." The human ship was small with only one occupant. When Luna's soldiers brought him to the lab, she was surprised by what she saw. He was tall for his species, with brown hair and green eyes that held no fear despite his situation. Most aliens would be terrified when captured by the Valdorians, but this human seemed almost calm. "What is your name?" Luna asked as she circled the containment field. The human looked at her directly, meeting her gaze without flinching. "My name is Jake Morrison. I was exploring this sector when my ship got caught in that meteor storm." "Are you going to kill me?" Luna found his directness refreshing. Most species would beg or try to bargain for their lives. "That depends entirely on what I learn from studying you. Dr. Maya, begin the scans." Dr. Maya activated her instruments and began taking readings. Luna watched the displays with growing interest. The human's biology was fascinating, but it was his vital signs that caught her attention. His heartbeat had a steady, strong rhythm that seemed to pulse with life itself. "His cardiovascular system is remarkable," Dr. Maya reported. "The heart rate increases when he looks at you, Princess, but not from fear. I am detecting elevated levels of chemicals associated with attraction and curiosity." Luna felt something stir within her that she had never experienced before. The sound of Jake's heartbeat seemed to call to something deep in her nature. She moved closer to the containment field, studying his face. "You are not afraid?" she observed. Jake shrugged. "Fear does not help in situations like this. Besides, you could have killed me already if that was your plan." "You want something else?" "I want to understand what makes humans so resilient. Your species has survived wars that would have destroyed others. You adapt and overcome obstacles that seem impossible. How we do not give up easily," Jake said simply. "When something matters to us, we fight for it no matter the cost." As the hours passed, Luna found herself returning to the lab again and again. She told herself it was for scientific purposes, but the truth was more complex. Something about Jake drew her like gravity. His heartbeat had become a rhythm she could not ignore. That night, when the artificial lighting dimmed to simulate evening, Luna felt the familiar stirring in her blood. The ship's systems were programmed to mimic the light cycles of her homeworld, including the rising of the twin moons. She tried to stay away from the lab, but the pull was too strong. When she arrived, Jake was sitting quietly in his containment field, reading from a datapad she had provided. He looked up as she entered, and she saw his eyes widen slightly. The moon change had begun, and she could feel her appearance shifting. Her pale blue skin took on a silver sheen, and her eyes began to glow more brightly. Her muscles became more defined, and her senses sharpened. Most importantly, her predatory instincts awakened. She was becoming something between her normal form and a creature of the hunt. "You are changing," Jake said softly, his voice filled with wonder rather than terror. Luna expected him to show fear, but instead his heartbeat quickened in a way that sent shivers through her enhanced senses. "You should be afraid, human. In this form I am dangerous, maybe," Jake replied, standing and moving closer to the barrier between them. "But you have not hurt me yet. Whatever you are becoming, you are still you." His words touched something deep within her transformed state. Luna had always been taught that the moon change made her people lose control, become wild and savage. But Jake's steady presence seemed to anchor her to her rational mind. "Why do you not fear me?" she asked, her voice now carrying a slight growl. "Because your heartbeat tells a different story than your appearance," Jake said. "I can hear it, and it sounds like someone who is trying very hard to stay in control. You are fighting your instincts to protect me." Luna was amazed that he could read her so clearly. "You understand more about my people than most of my own kind do." "Maybe that is because I am not looking with the same eyes," Jake suggested. "Sometimes it takes an outsider to see the truth." Over the following days, Luna continued her observations, but they became less about scientific study and more about genuine connection. She learned that humans possessed something her people had lost over centuries of civilization. They had managed to retain their wildness while also developing compassion and loyalty. Jake told her stories of human history and culture, while she shared the legends and customs of her people. They found common ground in unexpected places, and Luna began to realize that the attraction she felt was not just physical, but intellectual and emotional as well. "My people have a saying," Jake told her one evening as they talked through the containment barrier. "The heart wants what it wants. Sometimes logic and reason have nothing to do with it." Luna felt her pulse quicken at his words. The moon change was approaching again, and she could feel the familiar stirring in her blood. But this time she was not afraid of losing control. Jake's presence had taught her that she could be both wild and civilized, strong and gentle. "If I release you from containment, what will you do?" she asked. Jake looked at her with those steady green eyes. "I will stay and help you understand what it means to be both human and something more." "If you want me to," Luna reached for the containment controls, her decision made. Whatever the consequences, she knew that keeping Jake prisoner would destroy something precious that had grown between them. As the barrier dissolved, she stepped forward, meeting him in the center of the lab. Their first touch was electric, sending waves of sensation through both of them. Luna felt her enhanced senses come alive while Jake's heartbeat thundered in her ears, like a drum calling her home. "The council will not approve," she whispered against his shoulder. "Then we will have to convince them that some things are worth fighting for," Jake replied, holding her close. Luna smiled, knowing that her human had already begun to change not just her but her entire world. The heartbeat that had first drawn her to him now promised a future neither of them could have imagined alone. In the days that followed, Luna worked to convince her people that humans were not enemies to be feared but potential allies to be treasured. With Jake at her side, she presented evidence of human resilience, creativity, and loyalty. The council was skeptical at first, but Jake's calm strength and Luna's passionate arguments eventually won them over. A new alliance was born between their species, one built on understanding. Rather than conquest, Luna had captured a human for study, but in the end he had captured something far more valuable. Her heart, and through it the future of both their peoples. The princess and her human stood together on the bridge of her ship, looking out at the stars. Their combined heartbeats created a rhythm that spoke of love, hope, and the endless possibilities that awaited those brave enough to reach across the void.